Hello, listeners. I am Amit Koshal, founder and CEO of Twid. Really excited to be here with Akshay today. Look forward to it.
You're a serial entrepreneur. This is not your first venture. I'd love to understand that journey of becoming an entrepreneur. You are like an MBA from IMT Ghaziabad, right? So just tell me like what happened in the intervening years which led you to become an entrepreneur.
Sure. So, Akshay, first of all, it's been a roller coaster ride since we have started. But this journey did not start from here. Actually, to be honest, it was really, really long ago when this bug bit me. When I was very, very in my early days, when my father had actually bought a Maruti 800 car, right? And we are three brothers. This is the time when my dad asked me that, "How's the car? Are you kids liking it and all that?" And we come from a service class family, so everyone is only about studies, 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 etc. And I told my dad that this is great car, but I think if we would have bought a Mercedes, it would have been even better. And I was the youngest of the three brothers that we are. So my brother started laughing, and they were like, do you even know the spelling of Mercedes? Have you ever seen it, etc., etc. And my father told them that, hey, I think Amit is seems like on a very different trajectory as you guys, because at least he's aspirational, right? He's thinking way ahead of that I should have achieved more as compared to settling for less. So I think that so I was right from the beginning. I was like that, right? In whatever I did. uh, so even in my career, I was probably the fastest growing in all the companies that I was the youngest M3 manager at Intuit. And globally, I was the youngest to grow that fast in the organization. So this has started from the beginning. So whenever I had some money and I could earn some money, the whole thought process was that I want to do something with this money and I want to start something. And I always had this part that I never wanted to build something like a B2B platform or this or that. Never knew such concepts as a whole. The idea was that I wanted to create something really big, which everyone in the world uses it, right? I think that is what the approach was always. I mean, people have different approaches. That somebody wants to build a rocket, somebody wants to build a seed, somebody wants to build something else. But for me, everything was whatever I will build, it should be for masses. Right? That was the
Okay.
thesis at the beginning.
How did you land up at Intuit?
So I was working with a company called as Balaji Telefilms, and I was the senior vice president for their internet and mobile businesses. And I
Like you
had my
set up the
past.
streaming. They have a streaming service. You set that up.
They had a streaming service. They had a platform called as Hunar, which is no more exists now. Hunar
Okay.
was the first platform that Balaji had or India had seen in terms of anybody who's wanting to be in acting. They will go to Hunar, they will create their profiles, and there will be people
Okay.
who will shortlist them. And then we
Mm,
had mobile content. So web series was something that we launched. Mobile
okay.
series of those web content was launched by us because everyone in the rural market, the mobile penetration was picking up and internet was picking up that point of time. So everyone wanted to listen to the such content of some raunchy content that Balaji is very
Okay.
known for producing. So
Uh,
people wanted to hear that on their phone, etc. Right? So I had made that as a scalable platform, and we launched it. So I was part of the group CEO's office, and I was advising them on how digital should transform, etc. But yeah, so post that, Intuit had came up with a platform called as TextWeb, which was, and I was not at all aware of, by the way, Intuit as a company. Right? So I was not fascinated by name of companies. I was always fascinated about the kind of work, and is this like a great work that I will be part of. So when I read the JD and I read about TextWeb, which was about giving internet to masses on SMS. I really like that platform, right? And after that, I started reading about Intuit. What is this company? What do they do? Oh, then I was like, this is such a big company, right? And then I got interviewed by a lot of senior management at Intuit, and then they chose me to lead the business at TextWeb in India.
What was
That was
TextWeb?
the journey at Intuit. So TextWeb was actually the largest platform India ever saw in terms of its own Play Store in India, like a Google Play Store or an Apple Store, but it was on SMS. So developers were developing apps on this platform, and consumers were consuming this content through SMS as a channel
Like
because
say
internet was not
astrology,
that popular.
cricket, things like that.
Astrology, cricket,
Hmm.
movies, reviews, etc., etc. Even like Make My Trip as an app, Ola as an app,
Hmm.
WhatsApp as an
Okay.
app, right?
Oh
Everything
wow.
we actually got the developers to build it on. So 40,000 developers used to build apps on
Hmm.
TextWeb,
Hmm.
and over 15 million monthly actives were using it on the content consumption was happening on SMS.
Okay.
So we actually launched it on long code, which is a 10-digit number. So
Hmm.
it was sort of free for consumers because
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
SMS pack used to be very, very popular at that point of time.
Hmm.
So you can send an SMS, you can get a content back, right? You want to
Hmm.
chat, do anonymous chat with people, find friends. You could do
Hmm.
that on that
Hmm.
platform. So
Hmm.
it became really, really big.
Hmm.
But monetization was a big concern onto that
Hmm.
platform. So when
And
that started
I guess
happening,
this would have been killed by the mobile wave, right?
so that
This.
is what happened. Actually, what happened was that the when the internet was picking up, uh, everyone was moving to apps. That okay,
Hmm.
Android app is something that we should create.
Hmm.
But we were sticking around with SMS because SMS was picking up. But then what happened was there was a war at that point of time between telecom operators wherein the mobile termination charges was increased multifold, approximately 10x of what used to be there. So if you are consuming my content and you are using it for free, for example, because it's a free long code, I as Intuit still needed to pay money to the mobile operator because some
Right.
consumption is happening on those messages. And it
Yes.
was in millions and billions of messages, right? So it was
Hmm.
absolute a cost, but for Intuit it was okay. But
Hmm.
then when it went to 10x, there was the after this war, it became completely unsustainable because now your cost has just became 10x.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
funding needed was also 10x, right, for that.
Right.
So then we actually went ahead and changed the model because we were not very ready for the app side of it because the consumers were like that, right, at that point of time.
Hmm.
So we actually went ahead and partnered with all the telecom operators, and we moved this service to a short code, which is a 5-digit number, 56767, for
Hmm.
example, right? And that's a chargeable number. So consumer, if now wanted to use, they have to pay some money to use the content.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
got a very cheap, pricing on the messages so that people can still use it, like on a 50 paisa basis, but it was still not, like equal to a free service.
Hmm.
So definitely, when you do that kind of a model, you will become financially little bit stable, but the business will come down by 100th, right? What you were doing.
Hmm.
So
But
definitely those things
at a
happen.
macro level, I mean, like there are. It's not. It's at best a transitory business, right? Like eventually, technology would become cheap, internet would become cheap, phones would become powerful, and the whole promise of convenience and accessibility of SMS would disappear, which is what did eventually happen. But so
Right.
how did this lead to your first venture?
Right.
You,
So I was
you
about
were
to
at
come to that.
Intuit,
So
right? Hmm.
I was at Intuit. I was sort of reporting to Scott Cook, who's the founder of Intuit, and uh, one of the only amazing leader I have come across that is so humble, so amazing, always in the learning and teaching mode, even at this age of his career. I wanted to start something on our own again because I had so the same problem, right? So I've got some money now in my bank, and it was the itch was again that hey, the money is there. Now I can put back and start my own venture, right? Never had an idea what I wanted to build, but then I started working on it. So what happened was my first venture when I came out of Intuit was Fashlot. which was an omni-channel platform for you to discover offline fashion stores near you, and you can go into those stores and buy the stuff. What happened was, there was a time when I was with my friend Rishi. I was who's my co-founder today. We are very thick family friends because we are IMT Ghaziabad graduates, and since then we have been family friends. So we were having dinner together at my home, and when we were talking about business and what we should do together, he also has the same itch about doing something with me. Our wives were ordering food from Zomato or Swiggy, uh, but at the same time, when they were discussing about fashion, that इस store पे ये मिलता है, ये अच्छा है, तुमने ये वाला try किया दिल्ली में. So they were talking about these things, right? And we became curious, and we went to them and we said, you're actually ordering food from your phone using an app, but when you're talking about fashion, you're not going to Myntra, you're not going to any other platform, but you only want to go offline and buy fashion from those places. So they said, yeah, of course, because food is, we know that this is a place where you get good food. But the pro and but when it comes to fashion, it needs to really fit your body, right? And your that touch and feel becomes very important for you, and that's why we would prefer to go out in the market, and it's a different shopping experience. So we want to do that. That led to our thought process that and since our problem statement was also that we wanted to build everything which masses can use, so we were discussing about it, and we said, whenever you actually structure an unstructured space, there is a large opportunity that can get created, right? So for example, Zomato had literally got the offline menus to become an online menu, and they started with that as an app, and then Zomato became Zomato. Make My Trip, literally the offline travel agencies, they got everything together and they built it. Yellow Pages was changed by Just Dial, right? They got the books to online. So when we thought about all that, we thought that there is one space of offline fashion which is very big. The clothes is something that we always need, will not go online as such, because of the sheer reason that people want to really experience that fact. So if somehow we can do just the reverse, all people, what they have done is they have got the offline players to come to online, or offline customers to come to online. We wanted to get these online customers to go to offline, and if we can connect these two, we can create wonders. That was the genesis of Fashlot, right? So I went to Scott and I said, hey, Scott, I wanted to start this venture and I want to go. And he was like, no way, you can't go, and all that stuff. So it was a really long discussion that we had. But Scott, being Scott, he sits on the board of eBay and PayPal and etc. etc. So many companies. So he said, Amit, okay, fair enough. You want to do this? I will let you do this. But I want you to speak to some folks before you start this. And I was like, that would be the best thing that can happen to me. So he got me connected to all the senior managements at these companies in the US. So then I happened to speak to them, different companies, Foursquare, etc., etc. So I spoke to a lot of people. And then he said that, hey, do you think that it's the right space? I said, yeah. I mean, I still think I can understand what they are saying, but they are talking about from the US market. I think India is different. So I definitely want to do this. So he's like, okay, you're all fair and square. Please go do it. And if you need anything, let me know. That's how the journey started. And we started Fashion.
And you must have discovered that your assumptions were not necessarily true, and there must have been a journey of pivots. And tell me about that. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And that is what the experience tells you, right? And that's what Scott was trying to tell me. And that's what many other leaders were trying to tell me. Being in the young age, when you are really passionate about what you have built, you generally try to ignore all this, and you say your conscience is everything, but what you're thinking is right.
yeah.
And when we started this, we what we had to do was we had to get offline stores to come online. So we started with getting their inventories also digitized, which became a real problem because we had to set up the complete studio, a team, a remote team. So there'll be a photographer, there'll be a dresser, there'll be models. They will go to their stores. They will do
Was
all
your
the
pitch
digitized.
to a store like complete fulfillment, like from order to fulfillment, that you will also provide
No,
them a runner
that's
and
that was the point, right? So the
okay.
idea was not that we will get you omni channel. That means
Hmm.
that from your store somebody will pick up the product because somebody has asked for that product and it gets shipped. So it's not like an online or end to end, because that is not what the brands were looking at that point of time. They were thinking that people should come to my store more, right?
So this
And
will
when
enable discovery. Like people will
this will
discover
enable
that your
discovery,
store has that
exactly.
product which I want, and therefore I will visit your store.
So you can explore the products, you can explore the
Mm.
offers that are running, you will also explore some more benefits around it. And then you decide, hey, yes, I want to go to this Bata store to buy it. Right.
Okay.
Because till the time you don't visit the store, you will never knew that, what are the products that are lying in that store.
Mm.
So that was the problem statement. So when we went with this idea to the brands, everyone welcomed us. They said, yes, this is what we absolutely want. So
Mm.
one side of the equation was right, that what we are thinking is what people want. Then we so of course, so a lot of stores never had their digital products. So of course the larger national chains had it, but if you look at regional chains, they never had their products digitized, right? So we started doing that, and we very soon realized that we are doing very absolutely wrong thing. This is not going to scale, because with this logic I will probably be able to only digitize 100 stores in India, but I want
Mm.
millions, right? That's how
Mm.
if it needs to evolve. So we again pivoted from that model. We said, hey, we have the merchants, they like us, but we can't run with this model. What we can do is that we can start a currency, like a rewards currency, which can be universally accepted, and people can discover the stores, but not the products as such. But yeah, if there are some products, they can actually see it if it's already digitized, but we will not digitize that. But you will discover the stores, locations, what offers they have, what will you get if you go to that store, what is the free loyalty points that you will get at this store, etc., etc. So we created that as the model, and we launched a currency called as F Cash, which was Fashlot Cash, of course, the fashion cash. So we launched that, and we started in two markets, Delhi and Bangalore. Partnered with over 30,000 stores in India, and got our stickers just next to Paytms, etc., on the doors that F Cash accepted here, like Phone
Yeah.
Pay accepted here or Paytm accepted. So we got that in place. We got funding from Your Nest and some other players in the market. Capillary was also, which was one of the largest players in the like a retail
Yeah.
POS provider. So they also funded
Loyalty.
us,
Mm. Mm.
loyalty, right? So we
Mm.
we we started scaling from there on. We started building
How much did
team.
you
We
raise?
launched it. I think at that point of time it was around 6 to 7 crores is what we had
Okay.
raised,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
A pretty
And
decent number.
pretty decent round, yeah, of course.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
so everyone got really really excited about the business, and we said that yes, we will be able to scale it. So we launched our app called as Fashlot. So it was a location based discovery platform for people, and it started scaling. We also got a lot of people on roads near the fashion stores to tell people that this is what we thought, that's the best place where you can do it, instead of just promoting it on Google or Facebook. The business started happening. But then again, after we actually scaled to a very large number. So in terms of GMVs, etc. So everything was working out. But we clearly could see that there were two problem statements into this business. Number one, it was a leaky bucket, because you would not shop for fashion every day, right? So probably it's once in a 3 months or once in a 6 months you would go to a store to buy something. So people were opening the app, that was not the problem, but they were not literally making a transaction, right? So of course that monthly actives or daily actives that investors or we would like to see as well what was not happening. And the business will only become business once you actually start making money out of this. So, and money will be once you go to the store and make a transaction. Second was that we were giving this F cash as a currency, which was on top of any retailer brand's currency. But it became very powerful because you were giving more to consumers, so they were loving it, and it was fungible. So people started liking it. But because that was our cost, so it became started hitting the P&L really hard. That
Hmm.
when people were using it, we were bleeding. It was
Hmm.
not very fruitful. So then we went back to the drawing board and we said, everything's working, people are there, money is drying out, but we still have a business in place. We have large merchant network, but people are still having these problems. And that is when when we thought that, let's go back to our merchants and understand where we are wrong and what we are doing right. So they started telling that, guys, you have done a great job, and we don't understand what you have done, because people come because of you, because of F cash as a currency. People are coming back, they are buying, they are not coming back for my loyalty points, let's say a Bata point or a Shopper Stop point. They're not coming back and asking that this is my point. They somehow comes and say, hey, I want to use F cash. So something is working out, and then we realized that, yes, of course, because this currency is fungible, and it's more and more people are getting it, and that's why people are liking it. Now, if that is the problem, and the money was literally very less into the company, we thought this is the right time to make a decision of what we want to do. We were going through a very tough phase, because when the business was at that stage, when the revenue was not coming through, investment would always get a hit, right? And we also never had that money to put it back, because whatever money that we had saved from our job days was also got over, because we were literally not taking any salaries into that business, right?
Right.
So um, so we we uh, we got to a conclusion that maybe it is a time that we stop the business, we go back to jobs, because we have family to run, we are married, we have kids. So maybe we'll not be able to sustain. And so we told the team that, hey, this is what's happening. We might not be able to sustain for long. We'll see what we need to do, but if you guys want to stay, we will not be able to pay. So a lot of people, by the way, we were very lucky, a lot of people stayed back with the business. We are with you. And we saw that as that also as a pull for us to sit together, think about, me, Rishi, Amit, Sharma, we with three partners. We thought that, it may be a good idea that we relook at our business, but instead of, going back to jobs, we have put in so much heart and soul. Let's give it another shot, but with another shot which is really, really scalable, and there are different ways to do it. And that's when the idea struck to us, when we spoke to customers. A lot of people that we started speaking in the last 1 month, consumers specifically, they said, we like you, F cash, but literally we have so many other points that we are not able to track. You are giving me another point. So definitely it is not that because of F cash I'm opening your app again and again. But yeah, when we go to the store, we remember, because your sticker is outside of F cash accepted here. So that's why we remember, we open the app and do that. And that led to our to the next stage of the business, is that if we are able to aggregate the current points of a customer and give it to them, maybe that is a next game changer. uh, then we started comparing ourselves with Apple Wallet, which was very successful, right? People used to use Apple Wallet everywhere in the US. It is because it is aggregating all your things at one place, right? Similarly,
What
Google
is
Wallet is
what is the Apple Wallet? It's just a place where your credit cards are stored digitally, and you can just
credit
tap your
card,
phone.
boarding passes, loyalty
Okay.
cards, everything can
Okay.
get stored at one place. And then
And
you
so
can use,
on your
yeah,
wallet, you can also see how much balance you have in each of your loyalty cards. Like it has that
exactly.
level of integration.
Correct. Which
Okay.
even Google Wallet has just launched, right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So we got another investor then, right?
Mm,
He was a guy from the US. He said, if you guys are thinking on that line, I'm ready to put in 10 crores into your business.
mm,
So that was another zeal for you to get started again and get up and run again. So we that's the genesis of Twid. We launched Twid, but again we launched Twid as an app. So we launched Twid as an app, and we said, you will be able to aggregate your points, but you will see the app and you can then use it.
mm.
And we had 10 crores in the bank. And again, so because we wanted to build for masses, so we always thought consumer first, right? So we will build everything consumer first. Fashlot was also consumer first. So Twid was also consumer first. Um, but the problem statement was again the same,
To
that,
to build Twid, you would need these alliances, right? So that your Marks and Spencer's points come into Twid. So you have to do an integration with Marks and Spencer's, or
exactly.
if like Flipkart has some coins, integration with Flipkart. I'm assuming you would have wanted this omni-channel, like online, offline retailers, everyone.
I think it was, we learned on the way, Akshay. It was nothing was like so pre-planned, because
Okay.
we never knew where we are going, to be
Hmm.
honest. But we never stopped learning. I think that was one of the key thing that made us where we are today. uh, Perseverance was key into this, right?
Right.
We kept
No,
going, we
but
kept going. Yeah.
did you like start by building these alliances first and then launching the Twid app? Because
so
otherwise, why would a consumer
so
use
if
it?
you remember, first of all, in Fashlot days, we had built a large network of merchants, right?
Yes.
So we capitalized on that. And that's what happened, right? So merchants were already there, some consumers were there, right?
Hmm.
So we had to utilize our strength that we have a merchant network. We now need to get the consumer to
What
start
kind of
using their
merchants
points.
were these? Were they like a Marks and Spencer's or like a Haldiram or like a
All
small
fashion stores.
kirana?
Fashlot was
Okay,
all about fashion stores, so it was all fashion
but
stores at that point of time.
chains or
Chains, all
individuals?
national
Okay,
chains, regional chains,
organized retail basically.
organized retail. Absolutely, we were
Okay,
not into unorganized, so it was all organized retail, 100%.
okay, okay, okay.
And so that was the genesis of Twit, right?
Hmm.
And but then we thought that we are, first of all, we have launched an app, so of course you have to acquire consumers, so it will again become like a very, very
And
expensive
a
game to make.
little bit more on the idea. So your pitch to a chain was that let me integrate with your loyalty system, and when a customer comes to the store, he can figure out how many points he has through the Twid app, which will tell him that these are your Marks and Spencer's points.
So yes and no, both.
Okay.
Because when we went to the merchants, we spoke to them that we will be bringing traffic to you,
Hmm.
right? That was the pitch, and everyone wanted that to happen. And we said, if the traffic is there, things will happen.
And
But
your
when we
ask,
spoke,
what was your ask to merchants? That let me integrate with your loyalty system.
so that was the first part that we wanted them to do it. The second part, after they agreed that yes, they want traffic, and all these things happen. So we said that, hey, can you give me access to your reward program, and
Hmm.
we will show it, and people can use it. But we were again thinking from a point of view of fungibility, right? That you integrate with me, Marks and Spencer, and I will let your points to go used in Bata.
Yeah.
Wrong
Okay.
approach.
Okay.
Absolutely wrong approach.
Hmm.
We could have told them that, hey, give me your points, but I'll make sure
Hmm.
that people come to Marks and Spencer and use your points, right?
Hmm.
So with that approach, when we said that, the merchant said, no, we are okay with being a merchant. We do not want to give our points to you,
Hmm.
right?
Okay. Okay.
When that started happening, we thought that, then we started looking at the complete space of rewards, etc. Large but growing space in India. I think it's very, very developed in other markets. And then we divided the market into three buckets. So very extensive study that happened from us. So we realized that 70% of the market is with banks or payment instruments. So whatever reward points exist today, 70% are with credit card, debit cards, etc. Yeah,
Right.
because very natural, because you are swiping that more.
Yeah.
Second largest kitty was with these large players like Flipkart Supercoins, which was becoming very big at that point of time. Payback, which was a coalition program between ICICI Bank, Future Group, HPCL. Intermiles, which was earlier Jet privilege, so there was a lot of points on Jet. So if
Okay.
you combine these they carry around 22-23% of the space in India.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
70 and 23 is 93, right?
Hmm.
And only
Hmm.
7% left was with these brands. Let's say a Bata point or a Marks and Spencer point. So they were very, very small in terms of their kitty as compared to the other 93%. And that is when we decided that, no, let them be as merchants, because they should accept these currencies what we have as 93, and we should not ask them to give their currencies, because they will never allow it to happen, and it's too much of a hassle for me to actually go after 7% as compared to 93%. So we focused our energies on the 93% of the space. So our first part was going to, and we knew that Supercoins was growing and doing really well, and Flipkart is a Flipkart, right, as large commerce player. So we approached them through our connects. We reached out to them and we said, we really like Flipkart Supercoins to be part of Twid app, because we will allow it to be used in the offline stores.
Hmm.
And the person who was there at that point of time was Anil Goteti, who was the SVP of Flipkart multiple businesses. And he said, Amit, to be honest, this is a beautiful business that you guys are building, but I do not want to be part of it.
Okay.
Because you are running your own app, you are a consumer business, you are trying, and you have your currency, other currencies, etc. I do not want to compete with that. I mean, I'm very different, I'm very big. What I am interested in is you give me your merchant network. So you go and speak to all these players that Flipkart users will use Flipkart app and come and shop at you and use super coins. I am fine with that.
Hmm.
I'll pay you enough money for this.
Okay.
I'll give you setup cost, this cost, management cost, but you give me this network of your merchants.
Hmm.
So so again we went to the drawing board.
Hmm.
So
But
you're seeing
I must
multiple
say,
pivots.
no, I must say this guy is very savvy, in terms of being able to very clearly articulate what was a real good proposition for Flipkart. So.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And there was a time when they and same time, these guys said that, hey, I think you're building great. We want your merchant network, so let us acquire you. And I
Okay.
was like, we have just started, right? I mean, if somebody
Yeah.
is wanting to acquire us, there is a value that we're trying to build here. So again, that's what I was saying. We went back to the drawing board. We said, are we again doing the right thing? Do we think that we should be an app? Um, and then we came to a conclusion that there is no point, because people have spent enough dollars to acquire millions of consumers and became a consumer app. In order for you to compete with them, you literally also have to spend again millions of dollars to acquire those consumers, retain those consumers. So it's a expensive burn proposition. You have a good network of merchants, and now there are players like Supercoins, etc., who wants to be part of it. So that means issuers are also interested. So why are you thinking of a B2C business? Why can't we literally externalize our merchant network to these issuers and issuers to these merchants, and then connect them both, and that will make wonders? So that is how what Twid is today was born that day. And we said that we don't want to operate the app, so we shut down the app. We created this as a platform. We created our APIs so that Flipkart, for example, can integrate these merchants onto their app, and they can show that now you can go to Bata and this and that store, and you can shop, and you can use Supercoins. So that was the first win, the big win. Got a lot of money. Yes, business started happening. We placed the QR
One
code of
question here.
Flipkart at every store.
Okay. How are you monetizing this? So for a merchant, it makes a lot of sense because they now get Flipkart's customer base coming to their store. But I don't know if a merchant would want to pay for this to you. For Flipkart, it is probably adding more value because the super coins become more valuable. But from whom were you deriving value?
So I think the complete network, to be honest, from Supercoins as well and from merchants as well. But from a value, if you mean who's paying you money, both again were paying us money. But literally every transaction, merchants pays us a commission. That
How
when
much?
you actually go, it typically ranges from 3 to 4% on every
Okay.
transaction that
Similar
happens.
to a MDR for a credit card.
Exactly, right. So no, and MDR for a credit cards are very low in India as compared to other developed markets. We are around 1.2, 1.5, 1.8% depending on the type of the card. But we were always premium because we said that we are literally allowing the customers to use their rewards into your stores. So you do
Right.
not need to give any discounts, right? So
Hmm.
merchants, we were telling that you don't need to give discounts. India is always price sensitive market, so they will always be looking for offers. Now, if they
Yes.
are able to use super coins into your stores or any other currency into store, user is literally getting some discount,
Yes.
which
Yes.
you are not
Yes.
sponsoring. So, and I am getting the user to your store because the user is
Hmm.
opening the app, which means there is a clear attribution of a consumer that
Hmm.
this consumer was brought into your store by Flipkart, right?
Hmm.
And hence you need to pay this money to us,
Right. Okay.
which
So
was a
that's
which was a
one
smooth sell,
part. Hmm.
huh? Which
Right.
was a smooth
Yeah. Yeah.
sell.
That's
So that's
I
coming in.
can imagine that would be a smooth sell. So that's one part. What was the other part of monetization?
So again, so for example, the issuers were started paying us, right? That hey, you are
Hmm.
enabling us on so and so places.
Hmm.
So and I want these A, B, C, D services. So hence I will pay you extra for this, right? So
What
so
is
we
that
also start.
nature of payment? Was it a subscription or a what like?
No, so of course, so it was some sort of a retainer fees. It was
Okay.
some sort of a per transaction fees, right? So everything started happening. Um, So that's how the business got started, and network started growing, and then we started adding more issuers, we started adding more merchants,
Who all are the
and
issuers that you added? So Flipkart, of course, I know. Who else besides that? Like
of course all these
in the
all these names, right? Was I was talking about the 93%. So we started
mm,
adding into
payback
miles, we
and
started adding payback,
okay,
and etc. So
okay,
IndusInd
okay.
Bank.
Mm,
But the time when we were trying to grow, um, COVID happened,
mm,
and offline business got a hit. Nobody wanted to go to the offline stores, and we were also thinking that what we need to do next, and that's where and we then we started definitely because the business was actually working out. We started raising funds, so we raised our seed round, because we created a new company altogether, because we never wanted to have the backlog of Fashlot and Target and all that stuff, right? So we created a new company. This company acquired the older company, and all that stuff happened, and it was a clean slate. And then we raised our seed round. Very fortunate to have all the big names with us, B Next and Sequoia. Sequoia Surge invested in us, and but COVID happened, right? So money was there, COVID happened, the offline was not working out, and we immediately shifted our focus to online. Right? Online was starting because COVID just had kicked in, and people were trying to shop online, and we put all our energies into online, right? So that also movement happened. So online started picking up, and then online picked up so well for us in COVID that we became everywhere popular. People started knowing us. Issuer wanted to be part of it. Merchants wanted to be part of it, because they knew that this is the wave that everyone wanted to capture. So
Give
so
me
that's
example
how
of
everything started.
who were the online merchants that tied up with you. Like I
So
imagine Amazon would not have tied up with you, right? Like, but
at that point of time, maybe yes.
mm,
But now everyone wants to be part of it. So
okay,
Amazons or Flipkarts or etc. Everyone want to be using this as a service, right, for their consumers.
okay.
But I think at that point of time it was um, um, Book My Show, um, Geomart, groceries. Um, uh, I think when we started, what was the name? I don't remember exactly. Um, CCD online,
Okay.
because people wanted cafe coffee day, so people wanted to order some sort of a coffee at their
Mm,
home.
mm.
Um, NetMeds, so people wanted to order medicines, right? So these were some of the partners, initial partners that we got onboarded. But since then,
Uh,
there is no looking back, right?
so in the offline world, I can imagine the flow would have been that there's a sticker there, use your Flipkart super coins or whatever, use your payback points here, and then the consumer would either open the Flipkart app and there would be a mechanism to redeem super coins, or with payback maybe they have the card and that card can be swiped at the merchant's location.
Yeah. So
That's how
on
it
on
happened
on
offline.
so from a consumer journey perspective, Akshay, when we were with, let's say, a Flipkart app itself, so you can open Flipkart app, you can go to a Supercoin zone, you can click on Supercoin Pay, and then the stores will get listed down. You can click on the QR code scanner, scan the code, and you can pay the money. But in online journey, it's a lot more frictionless.
One more question on the offline journey first. How about the others, like say an Intermiles or a Payback? How did it? Because they may not have an app, right? How
So
was it
see,
happening?
everyone has an app. Payback has an
Okay.
app. Intermiles has an app. But I
Hmm.
think we before we could do any integration with them for offline, and that is what I was telling you, that because COVID had kicked in, everything
Okay.
started happening online, right? So
Hmm.
offline was shut completely.
Okay. 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 Understood.
So
Understood. Okay.
so it was very fortunate, and I think the team executed it so well that we, instead of thinking about what happened, we quickly grabbed the opportunity of online, right? Because online was growing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we moved the business to online, and then the journey was very 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 smooth that we built. So when you go to a consumer, sorry, any merchant, you are logged in primarily with your mobile number, right? So what we did was we reimagined the way these things should work, because we thought if you literally have to think of your account number or card number to fetch your balances, things will never work out because nobody remembers, nobody carries at that point of time. So we created new APIs into the ecosystem. We said mobile number should be the unique identifier of the consumer, because mobile number is something that you remember always. What's your mobile number? We got even the issuers to change their APIs to from the card to or account number to mobile number driven. So when you land to a merchant and you're trying to buy something, merchant will ping me with your mobile number and bill value, that how much you're trying to buy. In real time, I will use that mobile number, ping all issuers, understand how many points you carry, fetch your balances, show you at the checkouts. So your discovery becomes completely frictionless. You do not need to download any Twid app. Whatever apps or websites that you use, you can go, you can see your rewards there, apply them, get a discount, pay the remaining balance in checkout, right? So we literally made it so frictionless for consumers that it was a big delight. Oh, I've got so many points, I never knew. Oh, I can
Yeah.
get a discount on this transaction, I never knew. Hey, I don't need to wait for 6 months now to accumulate a lot of points. I can actually use it in microtransaction. I'm doing a recharge of $200. I'm buying food for 400. I can still apply 40 rupees from my points. So it was that kind of a super delight that happened in the country.
Amazing, amazing, very interesting. Yeah, I can imagine the delight of it. Like typically when you're checking out at Zomato and then right at the moment of payment, there are choose an offer. So obviously
Correct.
this is something similar like that. Got it, got it. Okay,
100%.
interesting. Um, and so, what is the network today? Uh, for example, does Zomato accept these points of the issuers? And for example, does
Sure.
Cred allow its points to be used in this network? I'm just using these two names because these, I mean, from a consumer standpoint, these are like very popular,
Sure.
like Cred for
Sure.
points and Zomato for consuming points.
Sure, sure. So I think we are still a very early stage company, and I don't think so. We have reached that level where I can claim that everyone in the country uses us. But still, to answer your question, Zomato currently does not, but I'm sure very soon Zomato will do it. But having said that, we have in entertainment we have Book My Show, we have Make My Trip, we have Mantra to buy you fashion, we are NetMeds, Milk Baskets of the world, GeoMart, Ixigo, all
Hmm.
these large partners uses us today, right?
Okay.
So from a strength of the network, Akshay, we would, from an issuer part of it, where we call them issuers because they're issuing you points. Now they can be bank or non-banks. We would be having access to around 20,000 crore rupees worth of points with us, $2.2 billion almost. And on the other side, it would be around 100,000 plus merchants, or approximately 1 lakh plus merchants, where
Hmm.
you can use your rewards, and get discounts or earn more points, right? And these checkouts. So that's the
Is
network today.
Cred as an issuer on the platform?
Uh, Unfortunately, no. Because I
Okay.
think, and by the way, Kunal is an angel with us, so and
Yeah,
we
I
love
saw that.
him.
Yeah.
He's a great entrepreneur, amazing friend. But I think from a perspective of Cred, it's a community of itself, and
Hmm.
Cred points are within its ecosystem. I think it does not have a value as such in their books. So what we want, rather, that if those points get used, we need the money, right? if you're
Right.
if you're using 20 rupees of points of Cred, I want
Hmm.
Cred to pay me 20 rupees so that I can give it to the merchant, because merchant wants money, right?
Hmm.
But on
Right.
the books, I don't think so Cred has a value as such. So that's why you are able to gamify your experience with Cred by using, let's say, 10,000 coins, spin this wheel, you get this and that,
Hmm.
right? So I think
Right.
they do amazing
Understood.
job with
Okay.
with keeping the customer engaged, but literally externalization is not that
Hmm.
can be done with Cred.
Okay. This putting the value of the points on your books is what are the norms around that? Like from a, and I'm asking from a, like, from an accounting standards perspective, like when does a issuer of points need to put the value of those points on their book, and they show this as like a advanced sale, or what do they show this as? This may be too technical, so feel free to like pass on the
No,
question,
no,
but
not at all. I mean, we understand this space well, so
okay.
probably I can tell you what I know about this
Hmm.
space.
Hmm.
So there are two mindsets, Akshay, in our country. One, are typically the international players, like a city who got acquired by Access now, but Stancy's, etc., etc.
Or
What they do
Starbucks?
is that, or Starbucks for that matter, right? What they do is that in their P&L, they what if they have given you 1,000 rupees worth of points, right? They will use all 1,000 rupees as a cost into that line item that we have already added it into our P&L, so it needs to get used. If it does not get used, it's a problem. We want people to use it more because I've already added it into my line item as a income statement, right?
Okay.
But we have another mindset which is primarily Indian mindset, wherein we provision it. What that means is that, same example, you have given 1,000 rupees worth of points to some to people, but out of that only 200 got used this year. So in my balance sheet I will only use show 200, and I will show remaining 800 as my revenue,
Okay.
right? Because it's a
And once
breakage.
the point expires, then that becomes revenue. Like,
That becomes revenue, right? So because I
okay,
was trying to say the same thing, that let's say 800 got expired and 200 got only used,
then
then
800
800
is
becomes
revenue.
my revenue. So Indian mindset says that more and more things get expired, good for us. And
Yeah,
my
yeah,
point is
yeah.
that if you really want it to get expired, then
Okay.
you are literally, what you're doing is you are giving an earn to a consumer. So I'm giving you money, I'm giving you salary every month, but I'm telling you, hey, you can't use this money, by the way.
Mm, mm, mm.
So which is not fair, right? You should be allowing
Uh,
to use consumers.
I mean, okay, so leave aside the fairness of it. Purely from what is a good business decision? Should a business want consumers to consume the loyalty rewards fully, or should a business want to give consumers the illusion that they have a lot of loyalty rewards if they buy from them, and but the business is happy if the rewards don't get used?
I mean, you can consider the similar example what you're talking about, cred, right? I mean, you are also using cred. So the initial delight of that, I will get equal number of points if I pay whatever. If I'm paying 1 lakh rupees on credit, I'll get 1 lakh points, which was first time ever heard of, right, in the country, that you will get these many points. So literally everyone got into it, right? Whoever had a credit card is like, okay, let me use this. So initially, few months, it was a very good delight that, hey, oh, I've got, and it was like a statement that people, hey, I've got 5 lakh points, I've got 13 lakh points. Now today, you ask people, and people say, hey, oh shit, yeah, God, I've got 30 lakh points, and they're worthless. I can't do anything with it, right? So I don't think so. This is the right way to build businesses, wherein you are actually playing around with the emotions of people, and then you are not letting them use it. So you should do restrictions, that's fine, but you should not restrict a consumer on how to use it, right? You can say that, hey, you can use 10% of my balance today, which is fine, but don't tell them that you can't use it ever anywhere, but only at these three places because I make more money here.
Okay, okay, interesting, interesting. Uh, okay, got it. So, like, essentially, what you're saying is that the credibility takes a hit. The reason to run the, I mean, so consumers see through it when you are doing loyalty for the sake of showing that you're like as a marketing gimmick rather than as a real way to give value
The
back to
See, the
consumers.
consumers are smart, consumers are amazingly well placed when they know about these things, because they're financially, they are transacting, they know things, right? Now you can always say that, hey, I have played with your emotions and all that, but customer also understand that, I know, yeah, this point will get expired, so
Yeah,
actually this point is worthless for me. So you
yeah,
are
yeah. So
giving
there's
me,
no
but it is
motivation.
not luring me at all. There is no
Right,
motivation.
right, right, right,
If there is a motivation, I would love to use it.
right.
Right. So
Interesting.
consumer understands. So people can do a lot of marketing gimmick with it, but consumers knows that this is not going to help me become loyal to this brand. See, loyalty was always created, and I presume people should understand this. It's called as loyalty because you need to become loyal. So hence this becomes engagement tool. Loyalty is not to acquire new customers,
Is
right?
to
You
drive
you
repeatedly.
can't ask, hey, you come to my stores because I'm giving you this. You
Yeah.
have come to my store, you liked my product, you liked my business, and I've given you some benefit out of it. And you're saying this benefit is great because I liked your product. right? So you need to become tally with the brand because of convenience, services, product quality, pricing, and then on top of that you engage the customers with loyalty.
Mm,
But ये कॉन्सेप्ट
mm,
समझना जरूरी है अक्षय लोगों
mm,
को.
mm, 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 mm. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting take. Uh, India, I think culturally does not value loyalty points as much as other countries, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from. So I'm currently recording from Japan, and the amount of cards in my wallet, I have, I think maybe some 8 cards, loyalty cards in my wallet, which I never did in India. Even though when you buy at Big Bazaar, used to buy at Big Bazaar, you would get a payback card there and all that. But I never used it because never consumed the points. But here, I carry those cards around with me. You never know when I might go into one of those stores, and then those points matter because and every point gets used. I none of those points have got wasted. So there is a culture here of that stores offer the genuine loyalty, which is not there in India. I guess India the culture is more of discount. Like say a DMart would never give a loyalty point, but they would just give you a lower price. And same for like here in Japan, Amazon gives loyalty points, but in India they don't.
Right. So, by the way, we have very very valuable partners as investors from Japan, including
Hmm.
Rakuten, which is the largest rewards
E-commerce.
commerce on in Japan.
Yeah, Rakuten has this
And
R point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, right. And then they have Rakuten Pay, etc.
Hmm.
Over in Japan. But we also have other like Jafco and ICMG, etc., etc. They are all partners from Japan. What I have understood Japan, and the reason for us to choose investors from Japan was that Japan is a beautiful market to learn about rewards, right?
Hmm.
If you look at everyone in Japan, I think 94% of people in Japan are part of reward programs, right? That's why
Yes.
rewards are everything in Japan.
Yes, yes, yes. True.
And if you go to the stores as well, you would literally see the comparison between different payment instruments, and they tell you that if you use this particular instrument you will get these number of points or 10x point or 5x points. They never tell you that you will get 10% discount. So
Yeah.
Japan runs on rewards typically,
Yes.
right? That's why it
Yes,
is so
yes.
popular.
Hmm.
And they have understood that for me to bring that customer back again, these rewards are the beautiful manner as compared to a discount. I think, and that's a very developed market. So in Japan, whatever my understanding says, in a typical year, $28 billion worth of points are given.
Wow.
28 billion, right? It's
Hmm.
that big as a market.
Hmm.
US is
Hmm.
around by the 54 billion, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
at the same time, India is just five,
Hmm.
right? Because India has just started. I think we are at the stage where we are MVP stage, like a minimum viable product stage.
Uh,
We are exploring how the reward should work, right?
but do you
Um,
think? I mean, it could just be that the Indian mindset is different of
no,
preferring
I was about to come to that.
upfront discount over loyalty. Like,
I was about to come to that. Yes, of course. So what happened was, if you look at it, even the banks, right? They started offering you discounts or cashbacks that you will get 10% discount if you use my instrument here. Now, literally, what happened with discounts and cashback? And you would have seen with everyone, right? Every company had done it. Google Pay had done it. Paytm did it. Everyone started doing it. And everyone now gives you nothing. When you were early days, you used to get all these discounts and cashbacks because they wanted to get the customer intact. But now it's nothing that you actually get, right? Payment banks still do it because you still get those discounts. Now, what everyone understood literally, if you go and speak to them why you did it, is of course, one is that they wanted to get the customer hooked to them, but they also understood that discounts and cashbacks are not letting the consumer stay with them, right? So you are currently using them, but whosoever gives you a better discount tomorrow, you will just shift to that brand, right?
okay.
You are using an SBI card, you got a 10% discount, but now you also see that the other merchant that you wanted to shop from has an HDFC offer, but you don't have an HDFC card. So you will
Hmm.
actually call up your friend and say, यार तेरे पास HDFC कार्ड है, मुझे दे दे यार, मेरे को यहाँ पे ना डिस्काउंट लेना था, तो आपको दे देगा, आप वो कर लेते हो. तो मेरे को कोई लॉयल्टी नहीं रही SBI कार्ड से या HDFC से. मेरे को जहाँ पे जो जितना डिस्काउंट मिला मैंने उसको यूज कर लिया, राइट?
Hmm.
But अगर यही चीज इन्होंने, if everyone would have played it with rewards, what Japan did, right, and does today, then you start creating the loyalty of that customer with you. So now what people are doing is they are reducing this, and they will start, and if they are not, they should increase their spends and everything on rewards, so that it can drive you repeatability, because rewards is all about repeatability. Discounts and cashbacks will not create loyal customers, and it's a cost.
Okay, interesting. So, discount is like a drug. You can spend money, get immediate high of customers coming in, but it doesn't last. If you really want
Yeah.
the customer to stay with you, then instead of discount, you should pivot to loyalty points and rewarding customers
And which
instead
you have
of
already seen
buying.
yourself in Japan, by the way, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True, true, true. Though, I mean, so like DMart, Indigo are these examples of companies who focus on discount instead of reward. Like, I don't think Indigo has any kind of loyalty program, airline miles, etc. Probably
They
the
have they
only
have now
airline
they have now
they have
started
now.
created they have already created
Okay,
6C Edge
okay,
rewards is what they have already created.
okay, okay,
Airlines
okay.
needs to, the genesis. By the way, do you know how's the genesis of rewards came into picture? I was studying it
No,
somewhere, by the way. So
okay.
for the audience, I can probably tell them whatever I read. It helps them to focus on better things. um, so it started from airlines, by the way. Even if you look at early days of our life, when we used to do barter, or barter छोड़िए आप, जब आप सब्जी खरीदने जाते थे, so your mother always goes and say, ये वाले सब्जी खरीद ली यार, अब थोड़ा सा धनिया मिर्ची दे दो. So
Yeah,
वो
yeah, yeah.
धनिया
Dhania
मिर्ची was
Mirchi
a
is
rewards to you, right?
yes, yes,
That
yes,
ये वाले
yes.
के पास ही
True.
जाऊंगी क्योंकि ये मुझे ये दे देता है हमेशा से, और खुद ही पैसे कम
Yeah,
नहीं कर
yeah,
देता है जितने करने थे, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so now actually literally the whole this reward started picking up, loyalty started picking up in the airlines industry. और एयरलाइंस इंडस्ट्री में क्या होता था कि when you fly business class, you used to get a lot of points. So typically, being an Emirates flyer, if you are traveling 3 times in a year, you can actually become a gold member within just 3 flights, because business class flights are 5x than the economy flights, right? So
Right.
and for economy, you literally need to fly 15-20 times to become a gold member, right? Now why this happened? So why reward started picking up? Because business class was primarily sponsored by the company. You were
Yes.
not putting your own money, right?
Yes.
You are a corporate traveler. Companies are paying for your business flights, and you are becoming a gold member because of that. So free May, you get a gold tier, and you get the benefits of gold tier. And now what you will do is, whatever points that you have, you will use for your family travel and economy. You will take
Yes.
your family. मेरी पूरी फ्लाइट्स फ्री हो गई, इकोनॉमी में जाएंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. बिजनेस में आप
Yeah.
हमेशा बिजनेस फ्लाइट्स में जाओगे. So loyalty started picking up from airlines because of business class flights which are sponsored by your corporates and not by you, and the loyalty started happening. So the loyalty literally started in airlines like this.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, understood. Now, what is the what's the way forward for you? One approach is to make the network deeper in India, or a second approach could also be to replicate this in other countries which already have deep loyalty programs in place, like say Japan. What do you think is a better way forward for you?
So of course, Akshay, we have a global ambition. So India is just the first market. I remember when I was getting introduced to a lot of founders across the globe. This whole community that we are part of, right? Sequoia, BNX, etc. So they have global founders, right? Network. So whenever we started and introducing ourselves, that hey, I am this so and so, and I'm building this. I remember in all my such introductions, everyone just told me one thing: hey, Amit, when are you launching in my country?
Yeah.
This is my
Okay.
problem, right? I
Okay.
think everywhere this problem exists, that rewards get unused, utilized, right? And so of course we have global ambitions, and we wanted to build a business, something very similar to like a Visa and a MasterCard. So what they built it is with fiat currencies. We are trying to build it with non-fiat currencies. And
Yeah.
so India just happens to be the first market, and we still believe we are just scratching the surface in India. But definitely our focus is that we should go into the international markets and expand this business.
But what is a bigger focus for you? like to make Indian network deeper or to go international?
Oh, of course, India. As I said, we are just scratching the surface here. So the current focus is remains India, and we
Hmm.
wanted to grow deeper and bigger in India before we even think of externalization.
To I mean, why not do it the other way around? I suspect that the effort you invest in setting up a new country would pay back a lot more than the effort you invest in making India deeper. I mean,
I
India to
totally agree.
will take its own sweet time, I think, matlab, to
Yes.
get deeper. And you have no competition in India, as in when the appreciation for loyalty rewards increases, there will be a natural affinity to come on the Twid network. Network effects, unless you feel it's too early for you to have the network effects power.
To be honest, Akshay, this is also one of my learning after so many failures, pivots, ups and downs. I think focus is the key. And learning to say no to things that you would not do makes you a better leader, as compared to saying, hey, there are 100 things that we want to do, and these are great things, but what you should not do today is more important than what you should do. So in my opinion, with at the stage that we are at, with the penetration that we have, if I can focus more on India and become more stronger with respect to how the business should become stronger, understanding the consumer, because you can't have a better consumer experience than Indian consumers, right? So with those learnings, with those data, there's those understanding, if I can know this, वो कहते हैं ना, अगर आपने इंडिया में जैसे दिल्ली में गाड़ी चलानी सीखी तो आप कहीं पे भी गाड़ी चला सकते हो.
Yeah,
एग्जैक्टली
true.
द सेम पार्ट. अगर आप
Yeah.
हिंदुस्तान में एक बार ये वाला बिजनेस बना लोगे ना, तो इसको फॉर मी टू रेप्लिकेट इट एनी मार्केट बिकम्स फेयरली वेरी सिंपल एंड फास्टर. So I
Mm,
think
mm,
that should be my focus. But you are also right that um, uh, uh, the struggle required and the money making capabilities in other markets are far, far superior than India.
mm.
But I think what I can learn from the people and from the market about how to build a better network and a business, it can't be better than India, to be honest.
Mm, mm, mm. Uh, and is anyone else trying to do this in India?
To be honest, I want many to do it, because
Mm,
the time it started happening, the market start getting created, and which is good for businesses, right? I think people are trying to do it in bits and pieces. There are payment gateways who are trying to do this. See, I think everyone wanted to be part of us. Many people wanted to invest in us, but I think it was too early for us to get any strategic into the picture. That was also one of our decision to not get strategic too early, and build your business on your own terms. So I think when you do that, and when you build, and when Twid has shown, because we created this as a category, right, not in the country,
mm,
in the world. So when we, of course, there will be a lot of friction. People will not believe that this can work out. But now, once we have shown it that it can become big, there's a lot of money to be made on this, right, etc., etc. Then everyone wants to do it.
mm.
So I think that's where the situation is, that players would be trying it. Some player are already,
The
but I
payment
think
gateway companies like a Razor
payment
Pay and
gateways, etc. But I think
okay.
ours is a very unique benefit. If you look at it, we are a neutral party, Akshay. So we are connected with everyone. Now, if a bank wants to externalize their points, right, they would say that to my consumer, Akshay holds this X card. I want him to give a benefit that he should be able to spend it. If it's make my trip, then you should be able to spend it at Ixigo as well, Yatra as well, wherever Akshay wants to go and spend it. But at the same time, you should be able to use it on fashion, non-fashion, offline, etc. When you come to a payment gateway will not be able to give them that benefit, because they can say that payment gateway will say, sir, I have make my trip, but I do not have Ixigo, because
Mm.
Ixigo is with another payment gateway, sir.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
payment gateways always have this problem wherein they will not be able to provide the value to the issuer for their consumers the way
Mm,
we will be able to do it as a neutral party.
mm.
Second, I only do this for living. For others, this will be a side business
Yeah, feature, not the primary
feature,
product. Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I think there will be a
Mm,
lot of difference in the way, and of course, there's a lot of understanding that we have from the market, which
mm,
people take a long time to build it, right? Technology, stack, data. etc., etc.
Uh, I suppose that there would be two types of merchant mindsets. Uh, One mindset would be like you spoke of Bata, saying that Bata would not want that you can use my Bata points on other merchants. And the second mindset is the Flipkart Supercoins mindset, where Flipkart is saying, I want Supercoins to be very, very powerful in the minds of the consumer, and he should be able to spend Supercoins everywhere. Uh, what is the mix you see here? What kind of companies fall into the Bata mindset? What kind of companies fall into the Flipkart mindset?
Oh, I think I covered that in the earlier part, Akshay, if you remember. I said that the way market is divided is 70% of the spaces with these banks and payments instruments, which carries the 70% of the loyalty market.
Yeah, so they
Uh,
obviously want the loyalty
for
to have
them,
value. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. For them ubiquitousness is natural, that you should
Yes.
be, because they're
Yes.
an instrument, so they
Yes.
don't have any place there where you can use them. You use
Hmm.
their instrument at other places, right? So they're
Hmm.
absolutely
Hmm.
fine. The remaining 23% are the larger players like Flipkart, Supercoins, etc., etc. They definitely
Hmm.
want their currencies to be more powerful, and we
Hmm.
have shown them that how powerful it could be, because the way we can actually run their businesses is much far better profitable as compared to what they do. So on the reward space, so they are absolutely fine with it. The problem statement remains with the 7%, which is of they have their smaller kitties, but they want it to be into their own ecosystem itself. So
Where would a make my trip fall? Because I'm sure these travel portals also offer some sort of reward points. So where would a make my trip fall? Like, would it say that
I
I'm
think
okay
it would
with?
be, I think it would be between the second and the third,
Hmm.
wherein they would be having an inclination to make it ubiquitous in nature, but at the same time they also become a, because it's a travel thing. They want to keep it for the travel as a community, so they might want to do it, but I think time only is going to help them out in understanding what needs to be done. But the frequency of you using travel is also not that high, to be honest. I think where you have a higher frequency of transactions, right, and the larger usage is where that brand would like to externalize it, right, because they want to make it more powerful. Where there the probability of you coming back itself is very very less, which is like 6 months in a year.
Ah,
There is
okay.
no point of externalizing, because
Hmm. Hmm.
आपका
Hmm. Hmm.
आपका फ्रीक्वेंसी ही 6 महीने का है. मैं
Hmm.
उसकी वजह से हर महीने नहीं आ जाऊंगा आपके पास.
Right, 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 right. So, like, you would buy shoes maybe two, three times in a year. So,
Absolutely.
Bata doesn't want to externalize it because Bata wants you to use your Bata points in Bata next time you want to buy shoes.
करेक्ट.
Or
एंड यू कैन,
same
आई मीन
for.
दे कैन कीप सेंडिंग यू, आपके पास 100 पॉइंट है, 100 पॉइंट है, 100 पॉइंट. आप बोलोगे भाई मेरे को जब जूते खरीदने होंगे ना तब मैं आ जाऊंगा. ये 100 पॉइंट की वजह से मैं जूते खरीदने नहीं आ रहा.
Hmm, 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 hmm. This is a good model. Like infrequent purchases will typically prefer not to externalize.
करेक्ट.
Like say a lens card would probably not want to externalize, but a Zomato would.
करेक्ट. 100%.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Interesting,
Because
interesting.
the
Okay.
time it get externalized, Akshay,
Hmm,
you will start remembering them even more, because
hmm.
everywhere wherever you're going outside their ecosystem, you are now seeing their brand, so it's a brand recall, right?
Yeah,
If it's a
yeah.
brand recall, you would say अच्छा यार और कमाने के लिए वापस उसी के पास चलते हैं दोबारा से.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Okay, okay, cool. So, can you share what kind of revenue you do now? What's your ARR? A little bit about that.
I think that's kept very confidential as of now, considering we are a Series A moving to Series B as a company. But what
Hmm.
I can help you understand is two things, right? How big is this? How bigger this network is growing? Um, to all the merchants that we are live with today, whatever GMV and sales that they do in a month, Twid has started contributing to approximately 8% of their businesses,
Okay.
which is fairly the largest probably contributor by any instrument, payment instrument out of the ecosystem, right? Credit card, debit
Okay.
cards, net banking, Google
Hmm.
Pay, Phone Pay, etc. Pay with rewards carries approximately 8% of the share. Similarly, on the issuer side, right? We so whatever card spends, if you go to, let's say, an RBI ATM stats, you would get to know that what bank, how many cards are there, what is the volume this month that they did, what is the value that they did. We have already reached approximately 3% of the card transactions that happens in India are powered by rewards now. So you are using your rewards and then your card, which is completely powered by Twit. And
I
that's
didn't
a
understand
fairly
this
large
3%
number.
number. How is this different from the 8% number? This is offline or?
No, no, no. So 8% is merchants where you are
Yeah.
getting to their share. अगर
Hmm.
मर्चेंट आज 100 करोड़ करता है तो मैं 8 करोड़ कर रहा हूँ उसमें से फॉर एग्जाम्पल.
Right, right, right. Okay.
On the credit card, for example, a bank A would be
Hmm.
doing a million transactions in a month
Hmm.
of around 100 crores again,
Hmm.
right? Uh, so 3.3% is basically powered by me out of that, which is by rewards only. So you
Okay.
are in 3% of those transactions and value, you are using Twid to use your rewards and pay the remaining balance to those cards. The remaining are without rewards. You don't use Twid. You just swipe it. You just pay it.
You're using your rewards while swiping your card, the rewards of the card. Sorry, I'm still not very clear on this. So, like, if I'm swiping with a card in an offline environment, or even how would the points get used with that?
Oh, so
Or
we
is
are
it
we
that
are
when I get a bill of the credit card, then to repay that bill instead of paying cash, I can use Twid rewards to repay my
so
credit card bill?
for offline we are yet to launch. We are
Okay.
currently online heavy, and
Okay.
offline is about to come. What I was trying to tell you was that whatever commerce transaction that happens of so Akshay does 10 transaction with his IndusInd credit card, right?
Okay. Hmm.
In a day or in a month,
Hmm.
for example, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of that, he does 6 in online and 4 in offline.
Okay.
So out of 6, let's say 3%, which
Hmm.
is 0.18
Hmm.
transaction, is
Hmm.
done by pay with rewards, Twid, etc. Remaining, he just swipes it just like that, which he used to do earlier.
Okay.
But
Okay.
in
Okay.
0.18 transactions, you are also applying rewards on these transactions,
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. 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 So 3% of the transactions, there is a reward also applied along with the
which is
card
powered by
transaction.
Twid. Yes.
Okay. 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 Understood. Understood. Okay. Interesting.
Which is a
Um,
fairly large volume in India, by the way.
hmm, 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 hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And what is the GMV that you're responsible for? Like, how
Uh,
much of rewards are being consumed through Twit? What is the value of rewards being consumed through Twit?
uh, I think from a value, instead of value, what I can share is that in almost all the transactions put together, approximately 12% of the payment that you do is going through reward points. The remaining is going through your bank account or your credit card thing. So that's the bifurcation. So 12% of your transaction value. So आपने 1 लाख रुपए खर्चा किया इस महीने, उसमें से आपने 12,000 रिवॉर्ड्स में से यूज किया था और बचे हुए 88,000 रुपीज आपने अपने क्रेडिट कार्ड में से दिए थे. तो आपका जब रीपेमेंट हुआ तो आपने लाख
Hmm.
रुपए की चीज खरीदी थी बट यू ओनली पेड रीपेड 88,000.
Mm. Okay, 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 okay. And so let me end with this. What's your advice to founders? Somebody who is trying to build today, and you have been building for almost a decade. What advice would you like to share?
Multiple, to be honest, Akshay. But the biggest one would be, in my opinion, is your perseverance with a business. Whatever you want to do, whether don't think of it as a small or a big opportunity, etc. Just think of it as your passion, that you really, really are keen about it. You have the zeal to build it bigger, but have make sure that you are in it for a long run. You're not in it for a smaller stint. Be ready for a very, very sinusoidal ride. So there'll be a lot of downs as compared to any up. So be ready for all that as well. So perseverance is the key. Keep at it. Things will turn out in your favor if you are going in the right direction. And as I was telling you earlier, in your earlier journey there will be a lot of people who will come up with a lot of ideas that अरे ये भी कर लो वो भी कर लो ऐसे भी कर लो वो भी मत करो, and you get tempted to do a lot of things, right? ये भी कर लेते हैं यार, ये भी try करके देख लेते हैं. Stay focused. right? um, uh, Prioritize what are the things that you should do and what are the things that you should not do today. Some things are important and long term. The way I put it, by the way, I have a matrix that I have played always with. Let's say on y axis, I put on the top, I put urgent, and the bottom I put important. On the x axis, I put, on the right side I put simple, on the left hand side I put hard. So anything that is falling under the extreme two buckets is something that I would like to ignore. But the business is about today. So have baby steps. Think of tomorrow. Don't think of what will happen 5 years down the line. Those are corporates that can think of what is my vision for 5 years, etc. Think tomorrow, right? So with that, my suggestion to everyone would be that it's um, it's great to be a founder. Both sides look greener, right? um,
Yeah, right.
but um, but it's a fun ride, but it's a very tough ride. So but be ready for that tough ride. So if you are risk averse, don't get into entrepreneurship. If you are risk taker, absolutely go for it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Amit.
The pleasure is all mine, Akshay. Thank you so much for having me with you.